It must be love, love, love. Love makes the world go round. I can't live without love. I am in love with you. Love is the most important thing in the world. It seems to be one of those words that we use a lot, particularly in songs. There seems to be more love songs than any other kind of song. So what does love actually mean? What does it mean to you? There's a neuroscience, behavioural scientist definition, which is a root. ARAUT, which is I feel acknowledged, I feel respected, I feel accepted, I feel understood, and I feel like you want to touch me, or we are physically and emotionally connected by touch. That's, I think, a beautiful definition of what love is. And I'll do the opposite. If you do not feel acknowledged, if somebody's calling you by somebody else's name, if you don't feel respected, if you don't feel understood, if you don't feel accepted, if you are never touched, how do you feel? Probably unloved. There's another great definition I heard from a psychiatrist, which is how do children spell love? And the answer is TIME. The suggestion is it's not what you give your children, it's the time that you invest with them to be the living, breathing example of love, connection. I really like that. I often hear about unconditional love, particularly when it comes to dogs. And I'm out here in my doggy playground. I have 5 puppy dogs, 5 rescue dogs, who were obviously not loved because all of my dogs were literally thrown away, whether it was out of a car or in a plastic bag to die or into a rubbish bin. Nobody loved them. They wanted them to die. So I can tell you that they have my unconditional love, but they don't know that, because if I stop feeding them, if I stop exercising them, stop cuddling them, would they still love me? And sadly with dogs, I've seen too many dogs that have been treated badly and they still want the love and acceptance of their owner, which from a human perspective I can't understand, because I'm one of these people, and this is just my opinion, and I very rarely give this, but I don't believe in unconditional love. There are conditions on love. If you hit me, if you hurt me, if you treat me badly, if you're disrespectful, they're not things that show love. Because if you go back to the first definition, the definition of love is that I feel accepted, respected, understood, that you touch me, not physically violently, but you touch me with passion and love. So unconditional love for me is no, if you treat me badly, I'm not going to love you, and you obviously don't love me. But that's just a thing to take note of, and it's only my opinion. My personal question is this: if you want people to feel loved, and if you want to feel loved, is it important, and what do you need to do? And again, according to the behavioural scientists, it's a really important part of life. If you talk to the longevity experts, they will share that one of the biggest reasons that people live for a long time is because of the great connections they have in their life, the people that love them. But I have an even more important question. What about the love that you have for yourself? It doesn't matter how many people love you, and I always ask this question. 1,000 people or 1,000,000 people love me, but I don't love myself. Whoa. Everybody thinks I'm awesome, but I don't. So is it better for me to love me and the rest of the world hate me than the rest of the world love me but I hate me? So could love start with yourself? What are you doing every day to make sure that you love and respect yourself? And I think that's a really easy answer. Because if you are the person who makes a promise to yourself and keeps it, so that you know that you can trust yourself, respect yourself, because there's another really interesting question. Is it more important to be respected than it is to be loved? So you might have nobody that likes you. They think that, they don't agree with what you do. But because you have morals and standards and you respect yourself, and you would never lower your standards to suit anybody else, and people know who you are and what you stand for, so they respect you, could that be more important than they love you? They might hate you because you are the person who has standards and morals and you would never lower your standards. And that happens a lot in the world, doesn't it? Where people are bullied, they're treated badly, they're cancelled. I hate that word, but they're cancelled because the people that don't like what they're saying don't want to listen to what they say, even though the person stands for something. So here's a really personal question. What do you stand for? What would you die for? What are your morals? what are your core values, and can you be trusted to live up to those standards and values? Doesn't matter what other people think. Now, if you do, is it possible that other people will respect you? And of course the answer is yes. But how do you get self-respect? And isn't that what love is? That you respect who you are. So you can trust yourself, you respect yourself. Are you self-motivated, self-disciplined, self-educated, self-inspired? All of those things are related to you. But if you are all of those things and you live by a certain moral code, a certain moral value, is it possible that other people will either love you for that, and even if they don't love you, are they more likely to respect you? Versus you put on a great show for the world and people think you're a lovely person, but you don't love who you are and you're not living to who you really are. And that's that really deep confrontational question, who are you? And we hear that all the time. And the exercise that I always ask is pick 3, 5, 10, 50 words, doesn't matter, but who are you? And write those words down, commit to those words, carry them around with you. I carry mine around with me on my hand, which is tough and fair, positive, stylish, disciplined and professional. That's who I've decided to be. So I don't have to make decisions. I just say, what would a tough and fair, positive, stylish, disciplined and professional person do? And if I live my life that way and I don't lower my standards, I don't negotiate my standards, I am that person, is it possible that I will love who I am? I'll respect myself. When I look in the mirror at the end of the day, have I been a tough and fair, positive, stylish, disciplined and professional person today? And if the answer is yes, am I more likely to go to sleep and sleep deeply because I've lived up to my own standards? If I've been a crappy person, if I've lied, if I've cheated, if I've been horrible, disrespectful, nasty, unprofessional, and I look at myself in the mirror at the end of the day, how am I going to feel? So again, a very personal question, because I'm sure like me, you deal with people every day who have low self-esteem, low self-confidence, they don't like their life, they're whinging and moaning and complaining about their life. And when people do that to me, the very first thing that I say, or the very first thing that I ask, who are you? Pick 5 words to describe who you are, and are you living your life as that person? Or are you negotiating those standards because you want other people to like you, or because you're part of a peer group crowd, or who are you? And if you are not living up to your own standards, is it possible that you'll be miserable and you'll be grumpy and depressed? And could that mean that you are then overweight because you eat too much for the wrong reasons? If you eat because you're hungry, that's very different than eating because you're miserable or depressed or you don't like who you are. A lot of people share with me, I eat because I'm angry with myself, or I eat because I don't like myself. I've worked as an exercise professional my whole life, where most of my clients were using food as a weapon against themselves, whether they were anorexics or bulimics or obese people, because they hated themselves. They were using food as a way to make themselves feel worse because they didn't like who they are. Now, that's all very dark and deep and horrible, I get that, but easily fixed, yeah? Set a standard and live to that standard. Who are you, and be that person. So if I say I'm tough and fair, positive, stylish, disciplined and professional, and I live my life that way, isn't it more likely to be happy? And we often don't talk about happy, do we? But ultimately, isn't that what we all want? So that's my very important question. And I ask this question to a lot of people now, and most people can't answer. Because I say, what makes you happy? Or why would you be happy? If you're unhappy now, why would you be happy? And people find it very difficult to answer that question. So I'm going to ask you personally, what makes you happy? And here's the challenge. If it's money, if it's a great relationship, if it's your children, if it's a beautiful home, if it's going on holidays, if it's an experience of some kind. You know, I'll be very happy when I go to that rock concert. I'll be very happy when my football team wins. I'll be very happy when I go out for dinner next week. They're all external things, which means if they're not there, you can't be happy. It means if you're broke, if you have nobody in your life, if you're not going out for dinner, if you don't have a nice house or car, you can't be happy. Well, I'm sure we've also all met people who have none of those things and they're still very happy. So what does happy mean to you? And as I always share, the psychologists, psychiatrists and brain people, the people who study what's going on chemically in the brain, will all share with us that happiness is a chemical called serotonin, which is satisfaction. I love my life regardless. Doesn't matter how many people in my life, doesn't matter how much money I've got, doesn't matter what kind of house or car I live in or drive, doesn't matter what kind of clothes I wear, I'm satisfied with my life. And it's interesting because the number one brain-altering drug is an antidepressant, which is supposed to deal with the serotonin levels in your brain. Now, there's two parts to that. There's some really strong research to show that that's not what those antidepressant drugs do. In fact, it's the opposite. And it's really interesting, though, that when you're healthy, fit and strong, when you lift heavy, when you get puffed, when you're the fittest, strongest person you can be physically, that mentally your serotonin levels are at satisfaction level. You are more satisfied with your life. And there's a simple question. If you know that you should exercise and you don't, versus you go out and have a really hard, intense exercise session, do you feel better after you've exercised? Do you feel more satisfied with your life? Do you feel more satisfied with yourself? I'm asking all those questions because love, self-love, self-respect, if we want other people to love or respect us, if we want other people to want to invest time with us, why would you want to invest time with somebody that's grumpy, miserable, has low self-esteem and self-confidence, which means you're jealous and you get envious and you're just not a nice person to be around? If you like being around yourself and you can be your best friend, if you love who you are, is it more likely that other people will love you? And as I always share when I'm out here with my puppy dogs, if you feel unloved and you want to feel what it's like to be unconditionally loved, please get yourself a puppy dog, particularly if you get a rescue puppy. That would be awesome because there's so many dogs that need rescuing. And the beautiful thing about brain chemistry is there's a brain neurotransmitter called oxytocin. It's called the love drug, the love neurotransmitter. When you pat a puppy dog, when you have puppy dog love in your life, they feel and get a rush of oxytocin, and so do you, which is the I feel loved drug. So if you want love in your life and people aren't giving it to you, learn to love yourself and get a puppy dog. That'd be awesome. What do you reckon, puppy dogs? Live your life to the max. I love my puppy dogs. Look at Aston's up there and little Judo's down in the grass. Woohoo!